Okay, password. Do you remember your password that you guys had this week? Let me ask you the question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for Avery and Annabelle and for friends at home, can you tell me what is a subordinate clause? You can say it together. Can you say it together?
A subordinate clause cannot express a complete thought and cannot stand on its own.
Good. That's right. Subordinate clause. And then we also say dependent. What pattern did we start new last week?
SVTIODO.
Right. And so that is still SVTIODO, what we are working on this week. But our purpose, we are focusing on imperative. Our structure is still going to be complex. Okay. And complex structure, you guys remember, can one of you read this?
Complex structure, CX. A complex structure consists of one independent clause, at least one subordinate clause.
Right. It can have more than one subordinate clause, but you've got to have that at least one subordinate clause, and you have to have one independent clause. So we are going to look at the SVTIODO pattern for a moment. So Avery, will you read this first sentence?
Yes, ma'am. I kicked her the ball.
Okay. So can you label this sentence for us?
Yes. Do it. Right. I is the subject. Whoops.
Sorry.
The subject
I'll hold that.
pronoun. Kicked is the action. It's the verb. Kicked what? Ball. Direct object. Kicked the ball to whom?
What do we know about the verb? Since the ball is a direct object, we can.
Verb
That's right.
transitive.
Great job.
And then to whom or for whom? Her. Indirect object. The adjective.
Right. Great job. Thank you, Avery. So, and you can have a seat. So, so you're looking at who is this sentence about? I. What is being said about I? I kicked. So kicked is the verb. Kicked what?
Ball.
Which is the direct object. And then kicked ball to whom? Her. So it's the indirect object. So what we have been used to is doing what pattern? Before this pattern, we had been doing the SVTDO. And we had been used to the direct object coming pretty soon after the verb, right? So what we want to make sure is we do not make the mistake of thinking that very next word is the direct object. Because I didn't kick her, okay? I kicked the ball. I kicked the ball to her. So you see, because what did we just describe? What is the indirect object doing? What is it receiving?
The action of the direct object.
So
it's
receiving the direct object. Right. So the direct object is receiving what?
The action.
Of the
verb.
So I kicked the ball. I kicked her the ball. And so do you see that difference? So friends at home, make sure that when you are finding the direct object and indirect object, we have to ask the questions. Okay, so let's think about this again. Avery, put on your chef hat there. Okay, so Avery baked Annabelle a cake, right? Okay, there you go. So Avery baked Annabelle the cake. So what or who is the sentence about?
Avery.
Annabelle, do you want to come mark this one? So here you go. Use it. You want to use white? You can use a white one. That might show it better. Okay.
Okay. So, there's a crayon.
So Avery baked Annabelle a cake.
Okay. Avery is the subject noun.
Okay. What is being said about Avery?
Avery baked.
Baked is
what?
the verb. Good. Baked what?
Cake. Direct object. What is being said about cake?
Hang on. Think Avery baked what? Cake. Baked a cake for whom?
Annabelle.
And then A is article adjective.
Oh, what type of verb is it?
Verb transitive. So did Avery bake Annabelle? No. No. And so if you put the direct object here, that would be Avery baked Annabelle. That is not what happened.
No.
Avery baked Annabelle a cake. So Avery baked what? Because remember, to find the direct object, we ask Avery baked what? A cake. And for whom did he bake the cake? He baked a cake for Annabelle. And so Annabelle, so explain again, somebody explain to me again, what is the direct object receiving? It's receiving
bake, the verb transitive.
which is the action. So the direct object is receiving the action.
Avery baked a cake. Avery baked Annabelle a cake.
So what is the IO then?
The IO is just adding more information.
Well, what is it receiving?
It's receiving cake.
And what is cake?
The direct object, which is receiving the action. Baked.
Right. So the indirect object then, Avery, is receiving what?
The direct object, cake.
Yes, very good. Okay, so